Hello everyone, welcome back to the Pollyverse YouTube channel. I am your host, Torkel, the writer, giving you another writer ranking, a little tier list video, because our last one went down so well, where we ranked the My Hero Academia students of Class 1A. I got some good feedback on that video from y'all, so thanks for that. And we're gonna be ranking Class 1B. But before we get into it, I thought I should probably give a little bit of context about the show for people who've never seen it before, but who watch my videos. So I'm going to do that before we dive right into it. But yeah, we'll see how we go, because I'm going to try. The competition for today is to try to make this video shorter than the other video, which ended up being 42 minutes on the dot. So we'll see how that goes. That's why I'm talking a bit fast. But I'm rambling on, as you can tell. So anyway, the Pollyverse YouTube channel is back up and running. So this will be for potential new viewers as well. So who am I? Sorry about this mic arm, by the way. It's falling down. If you tune into the Pollyverse streams, twitch.tv/Pollyverse, you'll find out why. But yes, my name is Torkel and I am a writer. I have poetry and short stories published in magazines, zines, and journals across the world, across the globe, across the pond, overseas, and within Australia. Okay, it's making it sound like a bigger deal than it really is, honestly. I'm working on books at the moment, so that's the next big step in my writing journey. So those are my credentials, okay? And when it comes to My Hero Academia, what are my credentials? I'm just a fan of the show. I haven't read the anime, the manga or anything like that. I'm just a big fan of the show, and I finally got through all of it recently. I got caught up to date with it. So that's my credentials when it comes to My Hero Academia. And what is My Hero Academia, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. It's a show. It's an anime, of course. It's a shonen anime, which means they're teenagers or younger people. So basically, it's in this fictional world like Earth, where people are suddenly born with a genetic mutation, not unlike X-Men, which is another series that I'm rewatching all the movies for at the moment. I love X-Men. So anyway, the population suddenly, these quirks, they call it, or mutations, started popping up in the genetic code of people, I guess you could say. And it basically would give random various powers, some useful, some not so useful. And they'd be passed down through genetics. So if you had a fire quirk where you could make a ball of flame in your hands, then your child would probably have some sort of flame thing as well. And then if people with two different quirks, had a child together, then it would be some sort of a mix of quirks in the child, stuff like that. So that's how it all happened. And it's a world where, there's heroes running around. They created a hero society, and the heroes are contracted by the government to be sort of their own law patrol type thing. And they patrol the streets, they keep the peace, and there's villains that run around who are anti, hero society, stuff like that. There's some people who are anti-quirks. It's most of the population has quirks, but there's still some people who don't, and they feel, quite othered, stuff like that. So there's a lot of that going on. So that's the world that we're in. That's My Hero Academia world. But the academia part, that's where the show is based. It's based around the students of the school, which is called My Hero Academia, I believe. Maybe blanking on that. That sounds unreal when I say it like that in my head, like My Hero Academia, but I think that literally is what it's called. I said, I'm no expert. But so these students of Class 1A, which is the video I did last time, so you should have a watch of that if you're interested. But they're the main focus of the show, that class. And basically, this school is a school for gifted students in particular. It's like a high-ranking school within Japan. And the students of Class 1A are taking the hero course. So they hoping to be heroes when they graduate from high school. And, they'll need to get approved for that. There's lots of testing and stuff like that. So practical exams. And there's also support classes. So they're learning how to be support heroes or, supports to heroes. because, heroes will have their own businesses, like I said, which are contracted by the government, and they'll hire supports to help them and like sidekicks and stuff like that. So yeah, there's also that. And then I think there's also like a business class in My Hero Academia, and they never get shared. They just like get joked about sometimes on screen. Like the support class, sometimes you see them a little bit. There's like one support character that gets shown a fair bit because she makes a lot of inventions for the hero, course students to use. But yeah, it's all about the hero classes, which is class 1A and class 1B. And more so than that, it's really just about class 1A, let's be honest. Class 1B appears in a few episodes, but they are not the focus of the show at all. But it's kind of unfortunate because they actually have a lot of really good quirks in class 1B that we just don't get to see that much. We don't really get to see the character development of these characters. The only times we get to see them is when they're dragged in to have like a competition against class 1A or something like that. So yeah, that's how it is for the most part. By the way, how do you guys like the new banner, the Pollyverse side by side? Pretty good, eh? Let's get rid of it. Now we're in the wheat fields. Let's calm down. We sped through that intro. I feel like you're up to date. You know every single thing about My Hero Academia right now, don't you? Don't you? Yes, you do. Okay? I'm informing the public. This is my service as an anime enjoyer. Yeah, I can say that. I'm an anime enjoyer. I feel quite comfortable saying that. I don't want to bump it up to an anime enthusiast. That feels a little bit too strong for me. But I'm a big fan of certain animes for sure. So, without further ado, shall we get into class 1B, or otherwise, I'm just making this up now, known as number 2. The second video of our tier list series, and it is another My Hero Academia one. So here we are. We have a tier maker list here made by @Lubish on Twitter. Thank you, @Lubish. And we have all the students in front of us. So we're starting with this guy, Hiryu Rin. Hiryu Rin is a guy that can make scales from his body. I've actually got up a cheat sheet right next to me right here because it's hard to even remember all the quirks of these people because, like I said, they're not the main characters or anything. So Hiryu Rin, he can make scales all over his body. He has an interesting mask, which I don't quite understand as part of his hero suit. It kind of blocks his eyes. It's kind of strange. I don't know what the point of that is, to be honest. But with the scales, he can obviously create a sort of like, tough exterior to shield himself a little bit. But more than that, he can create them to like pop up on his hands and then shoot them using support items that have been customized for his specific quirk. So it is a defensive quirk predominantly, but it's also an offensive one. It's pretty versatile, to be honest, but it's just not that interesting, I gotta say. So D, sorry buddy, get good. And it's one of those quirks that you've seen in other things before. It's popped up in like other superhero stuff, no doubt. So it's like nothing too crazy. But for our next hero, well, student, shall we say, we have, I'm trying to read the name right now, it's too small, Ibara Shiozaki. And she is actually one of the top performing students in class 1B, not a side character like Hiryu Rin. She's a top performing student in class 1B. I believe she maybe even got into the hero course through recommendations, which they repeat throughout the show for various characters. In class 1A, it was like Todoroki and Yaoyorozu. I believe I've said that name right. I'm not quite sure if I did. And I think there's one other person who I'm blanking on right now. And in here, there's a few of those characters as well. And so this one, she is actually really, really strong. She basically, you can see her green hair. It's kind of Medusa-like, but those are vines, right? And like that doesn't seem that crazy. Okay, she grows vines from her hair, but the limit of these vines is kind of insane. Like they can just keep growing forever. I remember in one episode, she coats an entire like small town in vines when they're fighting off against the other class. And it's Yeah, it's insane. And she just wraps people up in them. She can hit people with them. She can like use them to like sense when other people are coming, like you like feeling them step on the vines and stuff like that. So it's super good. It's super offensive. It's super defensive. Like I said, she can just tangle people up in them. They're really tough as well, these vines. And like I said, she can just keep producing them. And what I like about her character as well, she's really, because she's one of the more prominent characters out of class 1B. She's kind of like this enlightened, I don't know, I want to say goddess of the garden. She'll like just stand in the air and be like, my vines, spread out and find them. And then the vines would just go crazy and try to find like her opponents and stuff like that. So yeah, goddess Gaia, maybe that's something, you know. It's like very enlightened and powerful. So I quite like her character. I'm going to say B is, yeah, I'm going to say B. And there's also these moments where she's kind of funny as well. Like if she loses, she gets kind of downtrodden and upset about it. Kind of dramatic, but also, like I said, enlightened as well. I don't really know how to describe it, but I think you're getting what I'm putting down. Okay, so the next character, Kendo. This is Kendo, who I think is like the class rep for class 1B. You know, the class rep for 1A was Tenya Ida. And, you know, he really had, like I said, a stick up his ass about it. He's an awesome character, but he was really like, you must be on time and everything. Whereas she's more like wrangling up the students and being this kind of cool but respectable leader figure for everyone. So yeah, Itsuka Kendo, what do we rank her? I think I'm actually going to keep her in A here because I really like her character. She's very versatile. Oh yeah, her quirk, by the way, is called Big Fist, where she can just enlarge her hand to a massive size. I don't know if she can do it for both her hands. I think it's just one hand at a time, and it's not like feet or anything else. I think it is literally just her hand, if I'm correct about that. And you know, that doesn't sound that crazy or anything, but it's really, really good. She just like, her hand will be enormous, like the size of a car. And she could crush a car with that thing. She could just go splat and smash that car, you know. I don't think she ever does something like that, but you know, she gets violent with that hand. Like that thing punching someone, it's just like being hit by a skip bin, as we call them in Australia, like a giant, you know, garbage disposal unit. She's pretty badass. And then also she can just grab someone and hold them, you know, to restrain them. So it's a super good quirk for her. She's super versatile and she's like good with hand-to-hand combat and everything. Big hand to small hand combat, shall we say. So yeah, Kendo, I'm going to give an A. Her ability is super good. And now this guy, what the heck is his name? I can't quite read it there. But his quirk is Beast. His name is Jirota Shishida. Shishida. So yeah, he has the Beast quirk, which, going back to X-Men, he's exactly the same as Beast in X-Men, but instead of blue, he's just like more believable Beast, you know, just like brown hair. So yeah, that's him. I was going to say he looks normal. He looks fairly normal when he's not in Beast mode. He wears these nice little spectacles, which I quite like. It sort of adds to, you know, I mean, when I think about it, that's literally copying Beast in X-Men because he has glasses as well in some of the movies and stuff. But anyway, I like that. It kind of adds to his character a little bit. Like, hey, he's not this perfect beast. He's not this wild beast form. He's also just like a guy who might be short-sighted or something. And he's smart as well. But yeah, he looks fairly normal when he's not beast mode. He's just quite hairy. And he has kind of big fang teeth coming out of his mouth a little bit. But then he goes beast mode and he's enormous. Like, think of the size of the Incredible Hulk or something. Like, he's huge. And he's, you know, everything that you'd imagine from Beast or Hulk. He's really strong. He's fast. He like runs on all fours. He's quite animalistic, but he doesn't lose control of it or anything like that. He's still the exact same like state of mind that he was before. He just amplifies his physical abilities, really. So, like I said, it's kind of been overused, this kind of thing. Like I said, it's kind of copying X-Men, to be honest. And it's a shame because there's so many like interesting quirks in Class 1B. I do have to say that. So I'm going to give him a D. I'm going to put him down here with Hiryu Rin because, he's just not doing it for me. Unfortunately, they could have added something else to make him more dynamic. Like, I don't know what, but just something. Like maybe when he goes beast mode, there's like a drawback to it. Like he goes beast mode and maybe, I don't know, it wipes his memory because he becomes so primal, and then he never gets those memories back. That's a little extreme, okay? I write some weird stuff in my spare time. That's just what came to my mind. So anyway, next character. This guy is another guy who's let in on recommendations. And he's like actually the top performing student of Class 1B. His name, of course, is Honenuki. Juzo Honenuki. By the way, I apologize. I am not 100% familiar with these students because they don't appear in the show as much as Class 1A students. I remember their abilities and stuff, but I don't perfectly remember their names. So I'm cutting back and forth in between my what's it called? Cheat sheet to remember. But yeah, Juzo Honenuki, he is super good. He's, like I said, he's a top performing student. His face is kind of, I always forget who he is because when he's in his suit, he's got this sort of like, I don't know, I want to say kind of like almost like a Tron Legacy helmet. I was going to say a scuba type thing. It's kind of like a underwater scuba thing mixed with a Tron Legacy helmet. And he has like this kind of cool orange and black and gray armor. Yeah, he actually looks kind of like a Power Ranger or something. It's really cool. But when he doesn't have his helmet on, he's this guy who doesn't have any lips. Literally, his teeth are sticking out. So it looks like his ability or his quirk would be something to do with bones or something like that. Especially because his eyes are kind of, I don't know, like sharp and sunken and scary. And his hair's all white and, ragged. But I don't know what any of these features have to do with his quirk because his quirk is basically to soften things. And that sounds kind of crap, to be honest. But the way he does it is like anything he touches can soften. And he mainly uses it on things like terrain. So he'll touch the ground and it'll just turn into a mud-like substance. And then he swims through it, with his like little scuba Power Ranger type suit that he wears. So, and then he can like control it really well. So then he'll harden certain parts to get people stuck in it. And he'll just like swim over to them. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy because I feel like if I had this ability, I could literally, I don't know, I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't even imagine to be able to use it in the way that he uses it. Like a top performing student at one of the top performing schools in Japan for this hero course. It's kind of insane for such a strange quirk. But it's super versatile and that's what I like about it. That's why I'm giving him an S. Because that's what I like. When someone has a really strange quirk and you're just like, how the heck are they going to make this work? And then they do in a kind of believable way. That's really cool, I reckon. That's super cool. So we're giving him an S. He's the first S for Class 1B. Yeah. And also his personality is kind of, to be honest, it's kind of interesting. I was going to say it's kind of bland, but also he's kind of like nonchalant about things. He has this confidence about him, which is kind of cool. He's very calm and confident all the time. So I like that. I like that about him. Kind of adds to his strange skeletal facial features and stuff as well. He's unbothered. So this next one, she might actually be my absolute favorite student in Class 1B. And even though I say that, I don't remember her name. Her quirk is mushrooms. Okay? Now stick with me on this one. Mushrooms. You heard that correctly. Oh my goodness. Now, what does she do with these mushrooms? Basically, she can make them sprout anywhere. Okay, like no need for soil. She just points in a direction and mushrooms will sprout from metal and steel. It doesn't really matter to her. And I'm just trying to find my cheat sheet for a Kinoko Komori. Kinoko Komori. There we go. Mushroom. I'm giving her an S as well. Like I said, she's my favorite. Okay, so she makes mushrooms everywhere, right? Super, super useless ability, you know? Like, she can make mushrooms sprout on people as well. And it's just like, it's not that useful unless the person has some sort of invisibility or some sort of way to hide really well, and then she'll make mushrooms sprout all over them, and then she can find them. So it's not really a big deal in that sense. It's kind of useful. But also she has this spray bottle, I'm remembering now. She has this spray bottle, and I'm not quite sure what the reason was for why she uses that. I'm just going to quickly read her quirk now. Let's see here. Yeah, so the other big thing, and this is like the dark thing. There's some like dark quirks in class 1B, I got to say. So she can create basically any type of mushroom. And I assume she has a vast knowledge, like an encyclopedic knowledge of all mushroom types that are, species that are available, whatever you call them, all types of fungi. So she can make this one that has this toxic spore, and she can basically just kill an entire area of people because it chokes them out, or she can control it to some degree as well. So she won't necessarily let it kill people. She'll just make them choke, and then, they're kind of incapacitated unless they have some quirk where they don't need to breathe the air. So in that sense, it becomes extremely overpowered. I'm just trying to read about why she has a spray bottle. I don't know. I think maybe the spray bottle, it doesn't say on my cheat sheet, but she has like a spray bottle with her and she sprays the air. I think it might just be a support item that she has, and she just sprays it to make the air more humid so that the mushrooms can grow quicker, something like that. So yeah, that's her. And also her personality is really entertaining as well. She's like really show-offy, and she just wears this kind of like Little Red Riding Hood, unassuming, like mushroom outfit, like a big mushroom hat, and she literally just dances around in like a red dress, spraying, humidity into the air and just causing mushrooms to pop up. And she's like got this obsession with her mushrooms. She's like, grow, 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 kind of creepily, to be honest. But hey, she's my favorite, so I'm giving her an S. That's that. This guy, I like to call him Glue Boy. He's a good glue boy. His name is Kojiro Bondo, the perfect name for a guy whose quirk is to shoot glue out of his head. He bonds things together with a sticky glue substance. And getting back to this strange subject of how the heck the human race is even a human race anymore in the My Hero Academia universe. So this guy, this is his head that you're seeing right now. That is his head, right? That's what he looks like. Like, that's not a helmet that he's wearing or something like that. That is him. And he shoots the glue like out of the mouth, out of those like 8 eye holes. He shoots it out of everywhere. And I mean, he kind of covers up the rest of his body. So it's kind of like, it's kind of strange. I don't know what he is, but he's human apparently. He just shoots glue out of his face, and he looks kind of like a cheap 90s robot. And I feel like you don't really hear him talk all that much either. So I'm not even sure like what he's capable of. I'm sure he is capable of speech. I'm remembering it a little bit, maybe in one episode. But yeah, I like his glue ability. I like his facial features. I like it. I think they could definitely do more with his character. But personally, I like it. That's the other thing I forgot to say at the start of this video. We're ranking all of these not by like how good their abilities are, their quirks or anything like that. We're ranking them by my personal enjoyment. So, hey, that's the metric I chose to use. All right. So yeah, that's Bondo. This guy, Subaraba. I'm going to get up his actual name. That's just what I remember it being. Kosei Subaraba. Yeah, Kosei Subaraba. He kind of has an interesting quirk. He basically can make air into a solid. So he will kind of just blow air out and it could become like solid bullets. Usually he uses it defensively. He'll make a solid screen in front of himself. But also he can trap people in their own sort of like, air chambers, which kind of ends up being a solid similar to glass around them. Stuff like that. So, for such a strange ability, it kind of comes in handy. And yeah, I don't know. He's, I think I'm going to keep him at C, to be honest. Like, they don't really do that much with his ability. I mean, you could imagine if he really got some crazy support item that could increase his lung capacity, maybe something that can store air that he breathes or something like that, like a camelback, like a backpack. I don't know, something. And then he could just breathe it all out and create this enormous, cloud that just rains bricks onto people or something. That'd be like the upper end of his capabilities, but that doesn't exist in the show. He just makes cool little screens and stuff. So, and like kind of shoots little air spit bullets. So I'm going to keep him at C. He's all right. Nothing wrong with it. Now this guy is actually one of my other favorites. He might be my second favorite after the mushroom girl. And his name is, of course, Manga Fukidashi. Manga Fukidashi. And the name is very apt for him, okay? So, and what you're seeing, I was about to say, is not fiction. It literally is fiction because this is an anime, of course. I'm aware of this, okay? Don't worry about me. Okay, I might be a little bit unhinged, but I'm not that unhinged yet. Okay, so, but that is his head. That is what he looks like. Okay, it's a speech bubble. That's what it is, okay? So basically his ability is, I forget the word for it. It's called like onomatopoeia. So basically he's the human embodiment of words like kapow, bam, slap, whoop, zip, fry, sizzle, stuff like that you would see in a comic or in a manga. And when he says any of those things, it turns into, the word literally will appear and be like a physical thing that hits people. So he creates these onomatopoeia words. Yeah, that's what it's called. He creates those into physical things that he can attack people with. And it's pretty badass because when he's fighting someone, it's just a bunch of cool sounds that he's making and the actual physical embodiment of those things are happening. So it's kind of like if a comic book literally came to life. How you're seeing all the pow speech bubbles pop up when someone gets hit or slapped or something. He's literally just doing that all the time. It's kind of awesome. So I'm going to give him an S. He's a really cool character. I don't really know anything about his personality though, to be honest. And I guess it's kind of hard as well to make a character relatable when he doesn't have a face. Like, he is just like a speech bubble. Like I said, you can see it right there. It's very strange. Okay, this guy. We're going a bit crazy with the S's, I gotta say. We're going a bit wild with the S's. But I think he's got to be an S too. This guy, Nato Monoma, as he often gets called. He, in the first season, he kind of seems okay. He's like, he's kind of well-spoken. He's got, nice blonde hair. He's got these, nice features kind of thing. Looks like he'd be a popular, like, rich boy kind of thing. And then he's like being very friendly with people, getting to know everyone from like class 1A, the opposite class and stuff. And then as the next seasons come along, he gets completely unhinged. Like when the classes start competing against each other, and when class 1A gets more recognition than class 1B, he gets extremely jealous of them and he gets extremely competitive. So he becomes this character that keeps popping up from class 1B to point out to the audience basically that, hey, class 1B is still here, and like, signaling to the fans who are frustrated that class 1B isn't getting as much airtime. He's kind of like that. He's like, don't forget that we're here, class 1A. Like, you may think you're all so hot, but let me tell you, we've got higher test scores than you, stuff like that. And he'll like maniacally laugh about it. He'll be so unhinged. He'll get his own little like cutaway graphic and everything where he spins around in a circle and goes, ah, ha, 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 yes. And then it's usually up to Kendo, to come and grab him and be like, apologize for him, drag him away, while he's literally still shaking and laughing in her massive hand. So he is very, very entertaining. He's very funny. He's scary, but he's very funny as well. And his quirk is a very simple one, but an extremely useful one. He can basically, I think they just call it copy. He copies anyone else's quirk. So I think just by touching someone, he can then copy their quirk for some amount of time. I'm not sure how long. I want to say maybe it's only 10 minutes or something like that. But basically that's super, super handy, And because of his deranged confidence, he's usually very good at using the quirks. So at times he'll take someone's quirk and then he'll be even stronger than them because they haven't realized its potential yet, whereas he's sort of seen the potential in it. So yeah, he's actually awesome. The next one, this guy, Shoda. His first name, Nirengeki Shoda. Oh, it says here he's the class vice representative. I forget that there's class vice representatives as well. So he's the vice representative to Kendo. So that's interesting. But he's a guy who doesn't get a lot of screen time. And he has, to be honest, a very, very complicated quirk in my mind. It's hard for me to fully make sense of it and the way it's utilized in the actual series. The kind of interesting thing about him is that he's kind of, okay, so he has this like, he kind of looks like a Dragon Ball Z character. Let's put it that way. He has this like eye thing, which is like the scanners in old Dragon Ball, where it's like, it's over 9,000. It's one of those on his eye. And I think it's like a little radar or something. And I think it's to basically use tech and stuff like that. He has like support items, like, I don't know, different things that he can use, like missiles and stuff. Or maybe that was in allegiance with another class member where he was using this ability. I can't quite remember, to be honest. But he basically, and then also his suit that he wears is like this big buff suit where you can see all the like muscle shapes of like pecs and abs and everything. So he looks kind of like a Dragon Ball Z character, but like a teenage version. So his ability though is called Double Impact, I believe. And basically, it's hard to understand how it works exactly, but once he gets an impact on someone, in its basic form, if he hits someone, then he can activate it and they will automatically be hit again and much harder. So he doubles up and amplifies whatever he's already doing. So like I said, he uses it in conjunction with support items and with his fellow classmates. Like a classmate will hit someone with like a telekinesis object or something, and then he'll cast like double impact on it, so he'll hit them again even harder. So I don't know. It's kind of geeky. It's kind of weird. And like I said, I remember in the one episode, why I'm saying it's kind of geeky, kind of weird, there was one episode where he was fighting alongside some of his fellow classmates. And he was sort of just sitting down. It looked like he may have even been on a laptop and using his scanner and stuff like that. And he was just like, it was almost like using a Predator drone missile, and he was just controlling the double impact on all these, flying objects that were hitting people. So they could have made that more interesting, and then he could have been this super like high-tech guy or something. But his personality is kind of just like, I don't know, just like a bland, focused, driven student. So I don't know. I think he's a C. I'm pretty comfortable with that. He's a C. His ability is not quite clear enough in the show physically, how it's activated and stuff like that. But it is an interesting ability. They could have done more with it, basically. It's not a D, though, because at least it's interesting. Now, this one, she is also one of my favorites. I don't think she's an S, though. I think she's an A. Her name is Pony Sunatori. Yeah, and Pony is very fitting. As you can see, she's another one. It's like, I guess she's a human, but maybe she's like half mystical creature as well, because her eyes are much more, anime and large than any other character. And she has, I don't know, but basically her quirk is she has these horns, and they can detach, and they replace themselves fairly quickly. And she can also control them, which is the important part. She can take off these horns, then throw them, and then control them around buildings and stuff and hit people. And also she can even fly on them. That's the cool thing. She'll take off the horns, put them under her feet, and then just fly around. It's awesome. And the personality is what makes the character a lot more enjoyable as well. She's like super carefree, like similar to Mushroom Girl, but no evilness to it. No evilness to her. Like she's really embodying that like pony persona, so to speak. And she's super, super adept as a hero as well. So she's super good. She's definitely an A. Not quite my favorite, but like if there was in between S and A, I'm going to give her an A plus if I can. I don't like to do the in between scores, but she's like an A plus. Let's be honest. All right. Super good character. Now this one, I think I'm automatically going to put her at a D. Her name is Reiko Yanagi. I'm just going to say Yanagi. Reiko Yanagi. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that one, but Yanagi. And her ability, as you can see, she's kind of like spooky, sort of like more introverted character. She's got, the little bit of sleep deprivedness under her eyes. She's got the gray hair for spookiness, got the fringe, secrecy, and then her hero outfit is like, a kind of, I forget what you call them, but like a mask that shields all of the features of her face other than her eyes, I'm pretty sure. And her ability is called Poltergeist. And, that fits in with the spooky sort of theme, so that makes sense. But it really is just telekinesis. And she can't really do anything super crazy with it. She just controls a lot of small objects with it and can, control multiple things at once and shoot them around. It works really well in conjunction with other heroes. So she's one of the ones who fought alongside Shoda. Was that his name? Yeah, Shoda, who with double impact. So then their two abilities combined worked out really well. But yeah, like I said, and her, I like that they made her spooky, but they could have taken it even more, you know what I mean? She could have been, I don't know, I think probably the thing missing is that her quirk isn't all that powerful. They probably could have made it maybe so that, here's an idea. She can not just control objects, but she can haunt them. That'd fit in with the poltergeist theme, right? This is just an idea. People of My Hero Academia writers, okay? I'm available for commission work. Don't steal this idea. Now you can feel free to steal this idea, okay? Well, actually, all the manga's already written, I'm pretty sure, so it's probably already in there if it exists. But anyway, that'd be kind of cool, right? If she could literally like put her consciousness into items, everyday objects, that'd be interesting. Haunt them. But no, it's just like a basic telekinesis thing. So D. This guy, Sen Kabara. Let me see if I got that right. Yeah, Sen Kaibara. Kaibara. That's right. And he, if I remember correctly, has spinny like limbs. Spinny limbs, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move that down to a D. Nah, I think his quirk is called Gyrate, which, that's a fun name, but it's basically his hands and feet, or you could say a little bit more than that, like up to his forearms. I think he can actually do it on any part of his body, but he mainly uses it on like his hands and feet. But I think he can control his whole body with it. Basically turns himself into a drill bit. So yeah, he'll usually use it hand-to-hand combat. His hands will become drills. And then it's like you're trying to fight him, but even if you block his, punch, you're getting drilled in your arm. So yeah, it's slightly dark in that sense. It's like pretty brutal. Yeah, brutal is a good word for it. But he's not like I say, he's not crazy, outperforming people with this ability. He probably could do a lot more with it. I think he can also use it to like actually drill into, things like walls and stuff like that. So that's cool. But it would be nice if they could do a little more with it. And then he's sort of got this classic like teenage boy personality from what we can tell in the show. He's just like, haha, I am gyrating now. How can you stop my drill bits? And, stuff like that. We're giving him a D. He could be more interesting, but he's just not really. Now, this one, she was another character that I think was let into the hero course through recommendations. So she's a top performing student within the course. And I actually really like her ability. Her name is Setsuna Tokage. Setsuna Tokage. So basically, she has the ability of like a gecko or a lizard that drops its tail. You know how, geckos, if they're scared, they drop their tail and then it grows back over time. So she can do that, but to the extreme. Like she can dismember and dismantle any and all parts of her body into as many segments as she seemingly wants, because, like I said, she's a top performing student, so she's really good at it. So she'll literally have her eyes floating over here, her mouth floating over there, and then just like clumps of flesh everywhere. And it's not like they're all bloody. It's sort of more like they're all Play-Doh and they're all just flying around. And it's similar to this the boy who I quite like, Juzo Hononuki. It's kind of Juzo Hononuki, yeah. It's kind of similar to his soften thing. It's like, it's a weird ability. Like, how would you make use of something like this? It sort of just seems painful or something when it comes to dismembering yourself. But she really does well with it. And I think I'm going to give her an A. Super good. I don't find her as entertaining as the students that I have on S here. But she's super, super good. Super interesting ability. I like the way it's used. And we don't see a lot of her personality in the series. That's probably the complaint that I have about her. If she had a really interesting like personality traits in the show, or they showed just more of her, maybe she does in the manga, and they could just show more of that, then she'd probably be an S for me, because the ability is so interesting. Like, she could just get attacked by someone, like punched or something, and she'll just remove that part of her body, and then you hit nothing. Stuff like that, It's really crazy, and it's good for surveillance and stuff like that. Like I said, she could put her eyes way off in the distance. Oh yeah, this is the crazy thing as well. I'm pretty sure her body parts all fly. Am I remembering that incorrectly? I'm actually going to have to research this real quick, because I'm pretty sure she just sends them flying. Because that's the crazy thing, right? If you had this ability realistically, you'd imagine that your body parts would just fall off and then nothing would happen. But she seems to be able to control them all, like an octopus controls each of its, tentacles perfectly. I think that seems to be the case. I'm just doing some very quick research here. Let's see. Setsuna Tokage, lizard tail splitter quirk. Yeah, also it is a creepy quirk. That's what they're saying here. That's exactly right. It's kind of creepy that she's just dismembered and floating around the place. Yeah. Her body into individually controllable parts as well as fly around with them. Exactly right. She can make them all fly. Okay, I wasn't misled on that. I was right. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a super interesting quirk. So, she's really entertaining hero. Definitely a good one. Now, this guy, what is his name? But I really like him. He is Shihai Kuroi. Oh my god, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to take a couple tries on this. Shihai Kuroiro. I'm not happy with the way I said that, but it is what it is. Okay. He is very interesting. He is a really good one. I think they just call his hero name Black, or his quirk Shadow, basically. He compares himself a lot to the Dark Shadow guy in Class 1A, because they both operate in the shadows, okay? So this is what he looks like, by the way. He has this white hair, but then the rest of the features of his body are just shadowed, to put it that way. So when he steps into shadows and stuff like that, he can completely blend into it and essentially disappear and travel around within the shadows. So that's kind of awesome. You'd imagine that'd be a villain, not a hero. But, thankfully he's on the hero course. Thank you, my friend. Okay, for bringing your shadow techniques to the light. Okay. He's awesome. He's almost S-worthy, but he's just not quite as entertaining as the S characters. But I think I'm going to give him an A. It's super, super good. Like, you can imagine, he's not like super strong in any other sense, but it's such a good ability for someone to be really sneaky. For an assassin, he can really get the jump on people. He'll just come out of the shadows and grab you. And I think he can drag you into the shadows as well, which is even creepier. He can, he is Shadow. Like, it's insane. So if you are up against him, you want to make sure there's no shadows around for him to utilize, because then he's just like a normal person. He has no abilities. So you just stay out in the sun and hope there's no trees around. All right, we're coming close to the end of the list here. We're powering through it, but I've got a feeling, we're not beating the time on the first video. We're going over 42 minutes. We might even take this to a whole hour, because I think we went too long on the intro, but I wanted to give some context, because that was one of the comments on the last video I got from a friend, was that they hadn't watched My Hero Academia before. So let's continue on though. This guy is basically the exact same as Red Riot from class... Oops. Just flashed a random Discord chat on screen there. He's basically the exact same as Red Riot. Okay? His name is... Oh, yeah. Tetsu. Yeah, I said that correctly. Tetsu. That's his name, believe it or not. And like Red Riot, his personality, he's very like strong, manly man, very loud and emphatic. So that's entertaining in its own right. Nothing special, but it is entertaining. He's like a central piece for Class 1B. And him and Red Riot really bond with each other, which is a fun part of the show. They were very competitive because they were so similar, and they got put against each other in some tournaments. And there was basically a stalemate because they're the exact same. Like, Red Riot hardens his skin. This guy turns his skin into a very strong steel. So yeah, he just goes full silver. Another thing, by the way, that's in the X-Men, I think his name's Colossus. But anyway, we'll ignore that. But yeah, he makes it his own, and it's he's a fun guy. He's yeah, I'm probably going to give him a C. Like, he's an important character in Class 1B, but he is the same as Red Riot. The fun parts about them are when they're together. So I'd feel wrong if I put him at a higher grade than Red Riot. They're basically the same, but we know more about Red Riot. So I feel comfortable with C. I think Red Riot we gave a C as well. Now this guy, he's like a lizard. He's like a lizard boy. That's what we're going to call him, Lizard Boy. His name is Togaru Kimakiri. Togaru Kimakiri. Okay, and the best thing about him is the way he looks. He looks so cool. He's got this like green mohawk. He's like a lizard. He got these pincer things. He almost looks like a Pokemon, like Scyther or something, if you remember that. For all the Pokemon fans out there. But I think I feel pretty comfortable leaving him at C, to be honest. He's his ability, I don't think we know anything about his personality. I think he's kind of serious, kind of quiet, kind of just about getting stuff done. I don't think he really speaks that much in the show. You know, respectable. But yeah, the best thing is the way he looks is really cool. And his ability, his quirk, is just to make blades pop out of his body. So, you know, that's pretty dynamic. It's pretty good. And like I said, it's very similar to that Pokemon Scyther. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like inspired by that Pokemon or something. So yeah, that's him. He'll just like create blades out of his arms and slice up heaps of stuff. So another kind of dark character, Class 1B. Because I always thought he's very, very similar to this guy who's a part of the villain squad, the League of Villains, they call themselves. And there's this other guy who's like a lizard on their team, and he uses swords and stuff. It looks like him. I don't know what it is about these lizard characters, but they kind of look cool. Maybe I'm just a fan of lizards. I think I did read a lot about lizards as a kid. But anyway, this guy, I think I'm just going to automatically put him at D. Yosetsu Awase. Yosetsu Awase. So this guy, I think he has actually an interesting personality. We just haven't seen much of it. He seems to be upbeat, stuff like that. And yeah, really motivational and stuff like that. And yeah, sure of himself, really hardworking. I think he does really well within Class B. He's like a high-performing student. He's probably comparable to Hunter Zero, the sticky tape hero. That's one of my favorites ever. He's probably comparable personality and performance-wise to him, but his ability is less interesting to me. That's the thing. His quirk is basically just to weld objects together. So he'll have like a belt full of, I don't know, different pieces of metal and stuff like that. And he'll just like hit people with it and stick it to like the wall and stick it to them and stuff like that. So he's really good at containing people, trapping them, you know, because he can just weld them to something just by touching, you know, different objects. He just welds them together. So if I had this ability, you know, I'd probably just be a really good trade laborer. I'd probably just get paid the big bucks being a tradie. Come in for the day, they'd be like, we need you to weld this. And I'd be like, yep, I'm onto it. Bing, 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 done. See you later. That'd be my life with this ability. So he's doing well to become a hero with it. I'll give him that for sure. For sure. But he gets a D, so sucked in, loser. And now, Yui Kodai. She was one that, now that I'm remembering, was working alongside the people that I keep referencing. the double impact dude, and the telekinesis heroes. Those three were working together to fight 3 students from class 1A. And her ability works, I mean, their abilities all worked perfect together. Like, the annoying thing with them is their abilities aren't that good on their own, because it seems like they haven't made the most out of their abilities yet. That's a big theme of the show, is like plus ultra. That's like the catchphrase, to go above and beyond. Kind of cheesy, but kind of cool. So so basically, it's like a lot of the students will have an ability, like, what do we take for example? It's like the vine one here. She shoots vines out of her hair. Like, her ability probably just started that she could just grow the vines very slowly, and then she trained it enough that she could swarm an entire city block in vines, you know? And that seems to be the case for those 3 heroes here, that they are still learning. So basically her quirk is she can touch an object and make it enlarge. I think she needs to touch the object to happen. She can make it bigger. I don't think she can make objects smaller. I think she can only make them bigger, if I remember correctly. I might as well quickly have a look at it. Yeah, size is her thing. Yeah, she can do it with any object as well. I don't know if she can do it with people. I haven't seen her do that before. That'd be crazy. I think it has to be like, you know, non-living objects. So she usually uses it on pieces of metal, you know, chairs, things like that. Okay, she can make things smaller apparently. But yeah, it's a super adaptable quirk. I think she could use it really well. And I kind of like her personality as well. It's just very like, she's very plain and doesn't talk that much. Like, was it stoic? That's the word, not plain. She's very stoic. She would just be like, enlarge an object and be like, it's big now. And then like, you know, hit with someone with it. So I like her. She's cool. I think I'm going to keep her at a B. But yeah, she could definitely do more with it. Like, I was reading this page before when I was researching these students so I could remember. And it says here there's something she could do, which I didn't even think of. Like, this is dark. This is evil. Something she could do is just like give someone something to eat, like a pill or something like that. And then they take it, and then she enlarges it once it's inside of them and just kills them. Like, that's scary. That's like the mushroom girl. If she became as evil and as like trained and adept with her ability as her, that's the kind of thing that she could do. Scary stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, that about sums it up. And I'm going to download that later because I don't want you to see my computer files. Oh, cheeky, cheeky. Yes, indeed. Hey, we're back to the full screen in the wheat fields. And how was that, everyone? Class 1B ranked. Another tick off the list. Another tier. Done. Boom. What do you guys think? What would you have changed? What would you have done differently? I think it's perfect. I think it couldn't be any better, all right? But hey, maybe you disagree. But yeah, it is what it is. So thanks for sticking around to the end. This was a long one. And I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for many more videos on Pollyverse YouTube channel. We're going to do more different tier lists. Whoops, just bumped into my own microphone. We're going to do, oh yeah, and check out the video. I'll link it again. The video for Class 1A up in the corner there. Because, yeah, now that you've gotten the context from what My Hero Academia is, maybe that will be more interesting for you if you haven't watched it before. But we're going to do more tier lists in the future as well. Some of my favorite shows, albums from my favorite musicians and bands. Very personalized stuff to what I'm into, okay? But feel free to suggest stuff as well. So yeah, Stay tuned. Have a good day. And this is Torkel signing out from the Pollyverse, not a cult, by the way. And live, laugh, love. What more can you say?